guys, welcome back to the Psalms to Guide YouTube channel. Maybe like 2 months ago, I'm sorry guys, I've been way behind on editing footage, but like 2 months ago I released a video about all of the markers that I own, and I showed you guys this swatch book that I created, and I talked about how I was going to show you guys all the pens I owned and talk about them and tell you like some cost-effective information and like all that good stuff, and then I just dropped the ball on releasing the other videos. I'm sorry. But these videos do exist. They've been recorded since that first one dropped. It's just a lot to edit them and to make them make sense, especially since I'm having to break it up, and I didn't necessarily record it with the intention of it being in different pieces. So bear with me. We'll get it all out eventually. I hope. This is part 2. I think there will be 4 parts. I'm not positive. There will be at least 3 because I still have footage after this one. But today we're going to talk about the brush pens that I own. I'll give you a little glimpse of that. Really quick before I jump straight into that footage, I do want to remind you, as always, that you don't have to have all of the pens. I have a pen addiction. I buy pens just because they look nice, just because I'm curious, and if I have some extra money lying around, that's where it goes. If you are new and you're just starting out, or you are more fiscally conscious, or you prefer to spend your money on other things, don't worry, you can still have great journaling spreads without everything. Part of my motivation for doing this video is also to talk about what I use on a consistent basis and which pens are really similar where you don't really need both. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me comments in the comment section below. Please do not recommend other pens that I should buy, because I probably will buy them. And I have promised myself I will buy no more pens in 2022, and I'm holding myself to it. So enjoy. So next, going into brush pens, this is actually a new purchase for me. The Pentel Sign brush pen. I showed you one of these earlier. I keep mine in this little container. I think I got this from Target. Nope, looks like I got it from the Dollar Tree. I like the Dollar Tree, guys. It's cheap. It's cost effective. But it comes in a set. It's like this, and I really like these. When I first heard of these, I didn't buy them because I was a huge Tombow stan, and that's what I used mostly. But I actually really like these. The way they feel in your hand is okay. I guess it could be improved. I do like how the Tombows look and feel a little bit better. But in terms of actually writing, the way this writes on the paper, I gotta say, I actually like these better than the Tombows, and they come in way more colors. They have a medium or soft nib. I'm not sure which I would classify this. It's definitely not a hard nib, but they're great for small lettering. And I use these quite frequently. I probably use these on maybe a daily basis or an every other day basis, depending on how frequently I'm journaling. But I definitely, now that I have bought these, I use these in almost every journaling spread if I'm doing small calligraphy. And I love that I have lots of different colors to choose from. So this has definitely become one of my favorite small brush pens, super quick. In terms of price and cost, I got 24 of them for about $40, so they were about $1.60-ish per pen. They are definitely in the top half of most expensive pens, or in the bottom half, I guess I should say, in terms of being more on the pricey side. So, there is that. The Tombow, the Fudenosuke's, I think, are cheaper. Yeah, the Fudenosuke's are cheaper per pen, but they are less color options. So it's really about but I do like the Fudenosuke still, so it's really just a preference and what you can afford. Next is the Karen Metallic brush pens. Now, these, I have mixed feelings. I have heavy mixed feelings on these. As you can see, I wrote them on white paper and black paper because they are metallic. So I wanted you to get the full experience of them. They come in a really nice set. It looks like this. And, you know, the pens are kept in this little thing. They're supposed to be stored sideways, so I just leave them in this storage compartment. And I keep them on my desk. There are 10 of them, and these are the most expensive pens in my collection. And I would not buy these again. I would not. I don't use them drastically often. They are some of the juicier pens. They are most likely to bleed through. On my, 100-pound paper, as you can see, there's no bleed through here, no ghosting here. But I will say, as you can tell from the gold and the red gold here, these didn't last very long. So 2 of the 10 pens, that's a lot. That's 20%. 20% went bad really quickly, and I actually did not use them. It's not like, oh, I used those the most and that's why they, ran out of ink. I haven't had them that long, and I've been storing them the way that the instructions said that they were to be stored. So for pens that are as expensive as they are, I was really disappointed that the gold and red gold went out so quickly. They are pretty, and they do write on black paper, which is nice. However, I will tell you that over time, if you use these, the metallic sheen will basically kind of come off and it will stop looking metallic-y. At least that's been my experience when I've used these. They take a little bit longer to dry. They were $40 roughly. And so they were about $3.80 a pen, which is why I say I would not buy these again. I don't use them often enough to really justify the purchase of the metallic ones. And also, like I said, they didn't hold up that long. So yeah, that's my feelings on the Caran metallic brush pens. Womp womp. In contrast, there's also a Caran brush marker set, a regular set. I bought, it was the full set when I bought it. They have added a few colors. I think they added like neon colors to it since then. It comes in this really cool box, the Brush Marker Pro. And it has the Caran logo on the front. And this kind of like flips up and then over, and then it reveals the markers inside, and they have this little thing in between. I took one out earlier so that you could see the little hole, and then they just kind of stick down in there, which is really nice. The markers look like this. I like the style. I like the way they feel in my hand. I like the design, the weight, and things like that. They have a number and a name, which is very nice. And the color selection is pretty good. I really like this color selection. I like the way they write. I bought these around the same time that I bought the metallics, and all of these still work. So they did a much better job on the ink for these than on the metallics. I really like the way they feel when they write. I like the size of the nib and, the lettering that I can get with it, the thickness and the thinness of the strokes. The colors, as you can see, lots of different color options. I'm a fan. I use these. These are probably the most used brush pens that I have. The other set that I have that's comparable to them we'll get to. I do like them slightly better, but because they don't have good packaging, I don't keep them on my desk. And because I don't keep them on my desk, it's kind of more of an effort to go use them, which means I end up reaching for these more often than the others because I'm lazy. So these are definitely the most used big brush tips that I use in my journaling. Now, again, in comparison to the Crayolas, like I said, I like writing with these better just because they're meant for brush lettering and they feel nice. But you definitely get more colors with Crayola. So if cost is a thing, you probably want to stick with Crayola. These are still on the pricey side, though they are cheaper than the metallics. These are, I got 60 of them for a whopping $120. So they're like $2 a pin. Again, definitely on the higher end of the cost of the pins that I own. Though this one I will say was probably worth the buy because I use these quite often, probably in like every other spread that I do. So that is those. Now, the next comparable pen that I have is the Ecoline. They are, I would say that you do not need the Karen markers and the Ecolines. They're essentially the same thing in terms of functionality and things like that. I love the Ecolines. However, so they look like a regular marker, which is so funny to me. It looks like your regular Crayola marker. They have a nice brush tip nib. These are cool though because you can actually take this apart. You can pull it out and flip it if it frays, which is really nice. And I've heard that you can fill these up with with watercolor from this brand, Royal Talons. So I've heard that you can kind of take this pen apart and refill it if it goes dry. I've not had to try that, but that is kind of cool. I do strangely like the way these feel in my hand better than the Karen markers. I don't know why. That may be weird. Maybe I just like markers. But I like the color selections slightly better. I like their pastels. I have some of the pastels that I don't think that Karen has any really pastel colors. So there's that. I like, in terms of writing bigger letters, now when you try to write this size, I think the Karen markers work better. But when I try to write like large, bold brush lettering, I like these because they give you a nice, really thick downstroke and you can still get a fairly thin upstroke for contrast. So I really do like these. I would not recommend buying both the Ecoline and the Karen markers because they're essentially the same thing. But the Ecolines are a hair cheaper. I do not have the full set, and I still got a very nice color selection, as you can tell, but this is not the full set. So I only have 30. There is another set of 30 that you could buy. And they were still about $2 a pin. Specifically the Karen markers are like $2.02 a pin, and these are like $1.95 a pin. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a massive difference, but they are slightly cheaper. And I don't feel like I need the other set to get the same. I guess I don't feel like I need the full set to get all of the colors I want. So I bought one set of 30, and then I bought a set of 5 to get the pastel gray and the pastel violet, rose, blue, and green. So the pastel set was separate than the regular set. I think if I had bought the other 30 pack that has the full set, I would have gotten the pastels in that set. But I don't feel like I'm missing anything in not having the other set. So there is that. So these are the Ecolines. Now here I have, I guess, a couple of things. We'll start over here with the Tombow dual tip brush pens. These are literally the most popular pens in the journaling community. I talked about these in my previous video, so I'm not really going to go into them too much. I don't think I have one right beside me to show you. Actually, I do. Here we go. Here's the black. This is a black Tombow. It's very long and very skinny, which to me is kind of awkward in terms of writing. It has two sides, which I really like. There's a bullet tip, and this is like a skinny marker. And then there is the brush tip, which looks very similar to the Ecoline and the Karen. Now, Tombows are much cheaper than Ecoline or Karen. So if you're looking for price, they come in between the Crayola Super Tips and the Ecolines or the Karen markers. I got them in, like you can get them in different packs. So you can buy them individually, which is nice if you need to replace just one. I've replaced this black marker, I think, twice. So if you just need to replace one, you can buy just the one marker. Or you can buy like a set. I think they come in sets of like 10 or something like that. And they're roughly like 160 a pen. So that makes them definitely more affordable than the other brush tip pens that I mentioned. And they come in a decent amount of colors. These are the ones that I have. There are definitely other colors available. I just, for some reason, was not particularly impressed with them. I don't know if it's how they feel in my hand. I don't know if it's the fact that I've had many of them fray, which I've had the Tombows the longest, so I guess fraying is expected. But for some reason, I just never really got into them. I can't explain it, but you may love them, and there is nothing wrong with that. If you love the Tombows, they are definitely a staple in the journaling community. They have a ton of colors. I do like the bullet tip. It's very nice, and it's nice to be able to write with the bullet tip and then switch to the brush tip in spreads. But it's just not one of my favorite pens to use. On the contrary, though, the Tombow Fudonoskes, which are the smaller version of the same pen, I absolutely adore. I used to use these every day. I still use them pretty frequently. Maybe not as frequently now that I found the Pentel Signs, but the Tombows are a little bit harder in terms of the tip. Though you can buy a soft tip and a hard tip in the black. They look like this. As I said, I do think that they have a much better design aesthetically than the Pentels. And then they have this same kind of like brush tip nib. The one that I'm holding now is the soft tip, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is the soft tip. And I really like these. There are now another set of colors. So this is the primary colors. They have come out with neon. I saw a video where people were showing the neons, and I didn't think that they would really add to my collection, so I did not buy them. I don't think they have any like pastel colors for the Tombow Fudonoskes. There's definitely not as many colors in the Fudonoskes as in the larger brush tips, but I am a fan of these. They're about $1.30 per pen. The whole set was $13, roughly speaking. And so I highly recommend. They're cheaper than the Pentel Signs. So if you're looking for budget, I would say get the 10-pack set of the Tombow Fudonoskes, and you will be good to go. I really like them. There's also the Zebra Mildliner brush pens. So they have the highlighters and they have the brush pens. I have both. I never use the brush pens as brush pens. First of all, the orange and the yellow are super highlighter colors, which, I mean, they make highlighters, so I guess that makes sense. But this is just too neon for me. I can't use that. I can't read that. They work okay. They feel fine. I just, maybe it's the selection of colors. I'm not really sure. I just never really think to reach for them. I do use them to color things in and to highlight, as opposed to using them as brush pens for lettering. I don't have one of them handy. I should have pulled every pen out and sat it beside me before I started filming, but I didn't. But they also have that dual tip action where one end is a bullet nib and the other end is the brush nib. I really wouldn't recommend the mild liner brush pens unless you, for some reason, really like these highlighter colors for your brush pens. Um, they weren't particularly overly expensive. I think they're about $2 a pen. And I'm saying that in comparison to the Karen markers, right? These are still in the top, the top most expensive pens I have are probably the Zebra mild liners. Because like I said, we're still talking about $2 a pen. We're still not under the dollar mark. So those are all of my brush pens. I will upload the next video in the series soon. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys again.